How's it going, guys? Nick from Twilla Valley Motorsports, and we are so excited. The first Ridge crews are showing up, they're hitting the dealer floor. So we want to do a little bit of a talk through and a little bit of a comparison on where we feel this machine fits in the HVAC space. Now, there's getting to be a lot of competitors in the HVAC segment in the industry. You know, of course, BRP with their Defender Limited, we have one of these back here, and then Polaris has their offerings. Where does the Ridge Crew fit in that segment? So it's pretty cool. On paper, if you actually look at the specs of the Ridge Crew, it's a really competitive machine. It actually tops out one of the best in horsepower for the XR models at 116 horsepower. Now, the machine's actually fairly light as well, at a 2,500 pound roughly curb weight. So that is pretty good. If you look at an Expedition XP from Polaris, for example, they are over 2,800 pounds for curb weight. You're over 10% less weight for the Ridge Crew. Plus, it makes more horsepower, 114 horsepower for the Expedition versus 116 horsepower here. Now, one place where it is a little bit behind, but only marginally, is in suspension travel. Now, the Expedition is going to show 14 inches of travel front, 15 inches of travel rear, whereas the Ridge is going to go 12.7 on both ends. So a little bit more than an inch in the front and almost 2 inches in the back. So a little bit less travel, but otherwise less weight, more horsepower, and we think that they've done a really good job at fit and finish. And one of the other cool things, this limited model, the absolute top trim for the Ridge, comes in at a really aggressive price point, $38,099. So right around $38K for this machine. You're getting that really cool 7-inch TFT display inside, the Garmin with all of its integration, mapping. It even has weather tracking, which is really cool. I didn't even know it had that. We've got forward and rear cameras. It's got a great stereo in it too. So 8-speaker stereo, has a subwoofer, and we had this thing cranked yesterday, just jamming. It really, for a factory audio system, bar none, the best factory audio system I've heard in a side-by-side. I'm fairly impressed with this, and we love to do big stereos here. We actually have this Lone Star back here that we just did all of our audio upgrades on, because frankly, a factory stereo just never feels like enough. But this one, it's fairly close. So of course, we're gonna put a little more pressure on it, make it sound a little bit better, but for a factory unit, good job, Kawasaki. So overall, the machine has a really good look. Body panels throughout look really nice. They're tight. The cab fitments are good. The seals are good. The windows are power front and rear on the Ridge as well, which I really thought was cool. And you can control the rear windows from inside the cab. That was something that I was really happy to see, because, you know, sometimes we have young kids, they don't know how to control the windows, or they'll roll one down. You know, my little ones are in the back and they're going to be pushing every button they can find. So it's kind of nice to be able to roll those back up. Now, the other thing that we've heard on HVAC side-by-sides over the time they've been out is the AC doesn't work that great. Of course, BRP fought with this a little bit in the early days of the limited product, and then they refined that and they've updated the system. It works a lot better, but I will tell you, the Kawasaki Ridge's system is very robust. It has a great AC in it. The two-door units that we've been dealing with for the last year, they've worked great. They've been very reliable, robust. The AC blows super cold even on the hottest days. And of course, the heaters in these machines will just absolutely smoke you out of them. You'll be sweating in a t-shirt in the middle of the winter. This is no different. The heater works great. The other thing I really love about the Ridge, of course, is the inline-4 motor. That's one of the other points where it really separates itself from the rest of the machines in the industry. This motor is so smooth, it's very buttery, and it's got that great inline-4 sound, you know, borrowing some of that technology from their sport bikes. Big set of CVT clutches on this. I think drivetrain reliability on the Ridge is going to be outstanding. Of course, this is tuned to run on lower octane fuels, and if you're one of those performance junkies like we are, we do believe that there are going to be options coming in the very near future to get some more power out of this motor. It's just begging to go faster and with more horsepower and to rev further. You can feel it when you drive it. But overall, it's a really smooth, quiet package. You don't get a lot of in-cab noise, and that's something that we've heard a lot of feedback on competitors' vehicles, that they get a lot of noise in the cab. The Ridge really doesn't. And driving this machine around, the little bit of time that I've spent with it, it's really good. They've done a great job at keeping cab noise low. Now, the other thing that I really like about the Ridge is they've done a good job at flowing air in a passage from the hood at the front and moving it through all the way to the back, blowing heat out through the tunnel, and then also the motor is flipped backwards so the exhaust face away from the cab. This was something that Kawasaki spent a lot of time with, again, trying to lower heat into the cab, lower noise into the cab, and it's a great design. A lot of really good design attributes throughout the entire build. Now, the back door flips open this way, allowing for easy ingress and egress. and the back seat's got a lot of space. I'm a taller guy, 6'2", basically, and I've still got good space in this. So it's really comfortable back there. The visibility is good, a little bit of stadium style. You can see over the forward occupants. Forward seating is great, has a good look. The panels have a premium feel. I think Kawasaki's done a really good job. You know, the Ridge on its initial launch, you know, it was a little bit of I think a confusing point for consumers. I think, you know, a lot of people felt this was going to come out and be a performance HVAC product. I think where this really sits is more between like a Defender and a Ranger type of product, but maybe not quite as sporty as maybe the Expedition, although I think it's going to be really close. I think when you actually go out and run, it's going to be very close to the Expedition's capability, but I think it's a little bit more in the middle of those two. Not quite as utility as like the Defender Ranger, but not totally as performance oriented as the Expedition. And I think Kawi was wise to fit into this space. It kind of is building a little bit of a niche for them. All of the Ridges we've sold throughout the last year, the consumers love them, and they're finding that maybe they want a little bit more performance, a little more speed, but they still need to work with the machine. And that's what they're finding in this product. And they love the Japanese design and reliability. Now, everyone knows that Kawasaki is known for how robust and reliable their products are, and the Ridge is showing to be no different. We've sold quite a few of them here, and we've had extremely good success, knock on wood, not one warranty claim yet. That's astonishing, especially for a first-year launch brand new product. And I don't think the Crew is going to be any different. Of course, they just extend the chassis, it's the same drivetrain, all of that. One thing that they did do in the Crew that I think is really smart, that they didn't do on the two-door, and Kawasaki took feedback and then listened to us, they didn't put the 116 horsepower motor in the two-door for the limited trim. And I just thought that was such a miss, right? You know, there was no real reason to not put the higher horsepower motor in the limited trim. It's limited, it should have the best of everything. Well, they listened and they did that in the Crew. Now, the Crew also got, in the limited trim, the XR running gear. So that's the bigger factory wheels and tires. Now, this one here on the showroom, we did put some methods and some 33 System3 XCR 350s on. So that is a 33 and it fits very comfortably. There's no problem clearing this tire. The Ridge is really good about that. We've seen some with 35s. You are getting kind of close to scrubbing there, but this 33, not an issue. It's fitting really nice. This is a 4+3 offset wheel, so it's getting a little more stance off the machine, gives it a little bit more of that aggressive look, which we really love. I actually think this complements the machine. That matte black looks really good with this very bright blue, and I love this color too. It's nice to see them go away from the gold for the limited trim, but again, limited in the Crew, got the 116 horsepower, higher output motor, that inline 4. It got the XR running gear coming from the factory with those larger tires. Those were the proper moves for the limited trim, in my opinion. It should have the best of everything, and I think they've done that here. The fitment is great. The overall visibility out of it's really good. There's really not a lot to not love about this machine. I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait to go get some time in one of these, to go run one around. I think odds are this is going to end up in my stable at some point when they're a little more available. Right now, they're just barely getting out to the public, so we want consumers to come out, ride them, use them, so we can get good feedback. But I think I'm going to have to add one of these. I'm really impressed with this. I love what they've done with it. I think the HVAC is probably one of the best in the business right now. The AC works really well. The stats are really solid on this machine, and it's a pleasure to drive. It's different. That inline 4 really distinguishes this machine. It's kind of its just trademark characteristic, if you will. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's nice to see another competitor entering the space. It's so good to see a Japanese company doing this. Hats off to Kawasaki. Thank you guys. Thanks for building new products for us and entering into market segments that the other Japanese haven't done yet. And, you know, really staying there with Polaris and Can-Am. Now, we can't just let them run away with it. So fun for us to have another multi-row HVAC product in the store. We do have one of these available, so if you want to come down, check it out. This one is on the showroom. Come say hi, and we'll get you out riding, making memories with us, and we'll see you soon.